All right, so Windows has started up. You can see the desktop here. The background, it actually shows us the licensing information and also host system name, username, password, and so on. Now, in order to proceed with our preparation of the target system, we need to do a couple of things. The first thing is we want to pause the Windows updates. Second thing is we want to pause and disable Defender settings so they're not going to get in our way. And then we want to drop the installation scripts for Sysmon and the attack script onto the system. So in order to go ahead and get the configuration for the Windows updates done, now let's go into settings. And once we are in there, we can go all the way to the bottom and pick Update and Security, which includes Windows Update settings. And the reason why we want to do that is that in the background now Windows is trying to download a whole bunch of stuff. Now you can see that even here it's already running, and we want to avoid that because it's just going to create a whole lot of noise. It is processing a bunch of files. There will be a lot of read and writes and just a lot of noise that will be in our way during the forensic investigation. So to turn off the Windows updates temporarily, we can go to the advanced options here. And then I'm going to disable this one. If we scroll all the way down, there's a menu item called Pause Updates. So let's activate that. And this will now pause the updates for the next several days. So this is good enough for us. Next thing, we want to disable the Defender settings. In order to go there, we type in something like threat to make the virus and threat protection show up. This is our Defender settings in here. Now there's virus and threat protection settings. Now we click on Manage Settings. There's a couple of features. So first of all, we want to turn off real-time protection. And it's very important to keep in mind that this is just temporarily. So we need to execute the next script, the attack script, pretty soon, because this will enable itself after a certain amount of time. So don't leave your computer, or don't just shut it down and reboot it after you have disabled the Defender settings, because those will be turned on again. So you need to go back in here again and turn it off. So now we'll also disable Cloud Deliver Protection and the automatic sample submission. And that's it for now. Okay, so those are the two Windows settings that we needed in order to set up the system in a way so that we can run our script. Now the next thing is we need to get our script onto this system. The scripts are actually hosted on the GitHub repository. So on my host system, I've already opened it up here. You can see under github.com/bluecapesecurity/pwf, which stands for Practical Windows Forensics. There is this repository which contains the two scripts that we need. Now we can, to make our things easier, we can just download this repository onto our host system and then share the folder with our virtual machine in order to get the files onto the virtual machine. I found that this is the easier way. I've been trying to mess around with the virtual machine Internet Explorer or Edge browser. Really doesn't work so well. So probably the easiest way is just on your host system now. Open up this page, github.com/bluecapesecurity/pwf. Click on code here and download the zip file. So we'll get the repository downloaded into the zip. Now you can see on my downloads folder, this is the zip file that we now need to get onto our virtual machine. In order to do that, this virtual machine already has VirtualBox Guest Editions installed, which allows us to share folders with our host system. So we're gonna go up here on the menu item Devices and Shared Folders. And this is where we will add the downloads folder of our host system to share it with our virtual machine. So right here, Shared Folders, we click on this plus icon, and then we'll select our downloads folder. We'll just click open. You can see here my username /downloads will be shared with our virtual machine. Click OK and OK again. And then let's double check. Let's go to the Windows Explorer. And where we can find the folder is in Network. So click on Network and VirtualBox Server, VirtualBox Server Downloads. And here we are. These are the files on our host system that we have in our downloads folder. So let's just go ahead and copy and paste the repository. That's all we need, nothing else required. So now we have the repository on the system. We need to extract it and then run those scripts. In order to extract, we do a right click, extract all, that's fine. Just keep it on the desktop. So here we have the repository. You can see here there's a couple of folders. First, we need to install the sysmon script. Second, we want to run the attack script, which is based off Atomic Red Team techniques. So let's go into the install sysmon folder. Here's a PS1 file, so that's a PowerShell associated script. Now we need to run this one. And important thing is we need to run it as the administrator. So we click on File and PowerShell and open PowerShell as the administrator. We have to allow PowerShell as administrator to execute. So this is going to load up the PowerShell engine. And so when we hit tab, it will autocomplete to install-sysmon.ps1. So this is just the script that we need to run now. If we click enter, it will now download sysmon. It will now download a configuration file for sysmon, which is actually the famous configuration file for sysmon on the Swift on Security GitHub repository. And it will then install sysmon with the configuration file, reboot sysmon, and then that was it. At the end, you should see something like this: sysmon verified and it's running. So that was that. We can now close out this PowerShell prompt, and everything is ready and set up to execute our attack script.